Goodness, you sure do look exhausted. Kind of surprising considering you've been asleep for 2 days. Huh? Oh, my apologies. You probably don't recognize me, huh? After all, the last time you and I were face to face, I looked much different than I do now. Sorry if I gave you a bit of a fright. My name's Pieck. There's no need to introduce yourself. I already know everything there is to know about you. Huh? I have my ways. I'll teach them to you soon enough if you'd like. But first things first. You need water and something to eat. Luckily for you, there's a festival in town. They have all sorts of neat foods. Foods that we never get to have. I brought you this. I enjoyed it very much. I thought perhaps you would like it. It's called pizza. Be careful when eating it, though. It's very warm and very messy. Here, would you like it? Are you perhaps not hungry? Or do you see something on this that you're not a fan of? You don't trust me. Understandable. After all, you have no idea who I'm supposed to be, and if you knew who I was, well, I still wouldn't expect you to trust me. My full name is Pieck Finger. I'm an Eldian, just like you. You've seen me before, by the way. In my Titan form, that is. Why don't you recognize me? Well, there's a bit of a funny story behind that. The Titan that I possess, it changes my appearance drastically. My Titan is called the Cart Titan. I fight alongside Zy-Airah, the holder of the Beast Titan. You know him, right? Oh dear. This is what I was afraid of. Let me guess. You see me as a monster, right? Understandable. After all, the people I fight alongside, we've been at war with you and your comrades for quite a while. I understand why you don't trust me. To be honest, if you were anyone else, I wouldn't trust you one bit. In fact, I might even be tempted to throw you out the window if you were anyone else. But you're you, and I would eagerly trust you with my life. Why? Well, that's another funny story, though it's a bit of a longer story. Do you have the time? I thought you might. After all, when I took you, I was a bit careless. After all, we were in the middle of a battlefield. I didn't have time to take your safety into consideration. Well, not much more than the safety of your life. Unfortunately, your leg wasn't nearly as lucky. Don't worry, it's not as bad as it looks. It'll heal up just fine in no time. But for now, you're kind of stuck with me. Unless, of course, you have a high enough pain tolerance to walk out of here. But, though you are strong, I highly doubt you could endure that. Very well then. Since you seem content with staying still for now, I'll get on with the story, shall I? Let's see. Where to begin? I guess we could always start at the beginning. That's always been a very good place to start, don't you think? All right. It started when I was a little girl, when I used to play with the other warrior candidates. We weren't allowed much time together, but occasionally we'd be able to play games instead of just training. When we would play together, I noticed that they were always smiling, laughing. They always seemed so joyous. They were so much different from me. And sometimes they would go from smiling to yelling. It would happen so suddenly and I never understood why. Then again, I never understood why they laughed or smiled or yelled in the first place. I could barely even understand why they cried, except, of course, when they were in physical pain. Physical pain is something so many people are able to feel. I was able to feel it too. But the emotional pain they felt, the joy, the anger, I could never feel any of it. I didn't understand why until my father finally brought me to a doctor. The doctor diagnosed me with this rare condition. I don't remember what the specific condition is called, but the people who have it are referred to as Yandere. Have you ever heard of that term? It's a rather odd one, don't you find? The word is derived from two other words, Yandere, meaning insane, and dere, meaning love-struck. It seems so silly that an inability to feel would result in you being called a word that literally translates into mentally ill with love. At first, my father was very confused by this. I wasn't, of course. I couldn't feel confused or curious. But the doctor explained to him why that word was relevant to my condition. You see, people who are referred to as yanderes, they can't feel anything until they fall in love with someone. And I know what you must be thinking by now. It must be very difficult for someone who can't feel anything to fall in love. But in fact, contrary to what you believe, it makes it so much easier. Unlike other people, a yandere can only fall in love once, and they only fall in love with one person. It makes it so much easier to determine who is essentially their soulmate. Yes, I realize that's a bit of an odd way of putting it, but when you think about it, that is what you are to me. Oh, my apologies. It seems I jumped ahead to the big surprise. You see, when I saw you on the battlefield, I was suddenly able to feel something. The fact that I was able to feel at all, it frightened me. But I soon came to realize that the reason I was able to feel was because I had fallen in love. And I'd fallen in love with you. So the moment I was able to, I snatched you up in my mouth and I carried you off. I must apologize, though. I'm sure that's why you passed out. I did grab you with quite a bit of force. Perhaps I even accidentally slammed your head against my teeth when I took you into my mouth. I apologize for this. Huh? Oh, yes, I made sure you were all right. Don't worry. Aside from your leg, you're going to be just fine. And even your leg is going to heal soon, so there's nothing to worry about. Oh. Yes, of course I mean it when I say I love you. Why wouldn't I? This seems like a trick. What makes you say that? Ah, I see. You're afraid that we're trying to get on your good side? You're worried that we're just putting up a front to make it seem like we're much kinder than you believe us to be? Well, I assure you, this isn't the case. In fact, I was thinking that you might say something like that. So I asked my father to come visit you whenever you woke up. He'll explain to you the reality of my condition, and he can even provide medical records if that would help. Yes, I'm being serious about this. I want you to believe me, because I really want you to love me back. If you don't, if you never come to love me, I at least want to be allowed in your life. I understand if you can never love me because of what I am. I understand if you can never love me simply because you don't love me. There's nothing wrong with that. I, of all people, should know that you can't force feelings where none exist, so I won't attempt that, especially not with the person I love more than anyone else in the world. What will I do? I might still follow you around from time to time. Yanderes have a tendency to do that, just to keep you safe, of course, not to cause you any harm. And if you fall in love with someone else, I'll make sure they treat you right. I can't have anyone bringing harm to you. You mean more to me than anyone else, and by that I mean you're the only person who can mean something to me. You're the only person I can physically care about. So I'll just make sure you're safe. Nothing more, nothing less. That's all I'll do. As long as you still allow me in your life, that is. But even if you don't, well, I'll find a way to slip back into it. No. I don't expect you to tell me that you love me or that you don't right now. After all, we've only just met in person. You need more time to develop feelings for me, or to develop an opinion on me at all. Really, all you know right now is that I'm supposed to be your enemy, and now I'm telling you that I love you. I'm sure you must be very confused by this, so I'll give you some time to think of what you're going to say. All right? How much time? As much as you need, dear. I know these things can't be rushed. Why am I being so kind to you? I already told you, didn't I? It's because I love you.